AEW Dynamite, we saw Jade Cargill become the TBS champion. What we all thought? Well played, Jade. But is Jade Cargill best for business? We're going to talk about it in just a second, so stay tuned. This is WrstlXtra.
Yo, this is WrstlXtra. I am your boy A Dazzle alongside my tag team partner Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will.
Yes.
You know what? It actually feels like we're talking about this late. Because as we all know, obviously we're here live. It's a Tuesday, we're here live, and within, I think it was like the next day, the Wednesday, Jade Cargill is now the TBS champion, the first ever champion. And we were talking about, of course, a lot to do with black women, and especially the black women in AEW. We weren't talking about Jade specifically, but Jade propped up in about 2 or 3 of the different discussions. So, it kind of almost feels like we're repeating the episode, but we're not. We're talking about Jade herself, Jade Cargill. 23-0 since she started in AEW. Never defeated, and she only started not even a year ago. Her first match was not even a year ago. She was training maybe even less, about a year, about just over a year before that. I remember she started training, and now she is that B.
Yep.
She's that B. So the question we're asking, the question me and Mex are asking our people, is Jade Cargill best for business? Yes, we're using the WWE quote to describe an AEW wrestler, but AEW do it all the time, so might as well. But is Jade Cargill best for business? Of course. When she won the championship, it was tarnished and with 2 different things that we noticed. First of all, it was okay, right? She's only won this because of the whole debacle with Swole and Tony Khan. The other one, the biggest one, is constantly this whole remark of her being too green.
Yeah.
We saw the match. It didn't end exactly how we wanted it, as clean as we wanted it to, in terms of that finishing maneuver that happened from the top rope. I mean, even WWE decided to put up a clip of Beth Phoenix doing the move better.
Yeah.
That's how serious it is. But is this really an issue? Like, yes, we know she's green. I really don't like saying it like that because it makes it sound as if it's a negative. But yes, she's still fresh. She's still fresh to the whole thing. We can see that in her matches. We obviously know that because she's not been around for a long time. But is it really an issue? Mex, give me your take on Jade green. I mean, Jade is a green gemstone. But anyway, let's not go there. But Jade, is she green? And is it actually a problem for this new TBS champion to be the top of the mountain when it comes to the women's division?
Now, I don't think it's an issue. Is Jade green? Yes, we can all see she's learning on the job.
Yeah.
Is it an issue? No. How many of us have, taken jobs, taken roles and stuff in life, and we may have even gone as far as to fake our way in there in the first place. And then we learn as we go. And that's all she's doing. She's learning in the pressure cooker. She's learning on TV. And look, the actual final with Ruby Soho, with all due respect, that is the worst I've seen the pair of them, to be completely honest. Like, I don't think Ruby had a good match. I guess she would have been the experienced hand in that match to lead Jade to a good match. Ruby, I don't think had a good match. Like I said, I think that's the worst I've seen Jade. Not to say everything else has been bad as well, but this match just didn't work, in my opinion.
Right.
Like you said, it was the icing on the cake was the going up top for the final move, this finisher, which didn't quite come off. But yeah, I think we've seen it in the past. World champions that have just been given the belt because they look good, they look the part, and all of that kind of stuff. I was saying in a group chat that, you know, Omos became tag team champion at WrestleMania. Was he ready?
First match ever.
Exactly. Was he ready?
Right.
Reggie ran around with the 24/7 championship, albeit the 24/7 championship for you know, a month, 2 months plus. You could argue that he's still not ready because he's not really wrestling, is he? Like, it's the nature of the business. And again, if anything, this is more AEW's fault, in my opinion. They were building Jade, building her, giving her wins, tried to dodge and hide the fact she was #1 contender, and have kind of done course correct and pushed her down the road of the TBS title, which ultimately, like we said when it was first announced they were doing this, Jade has to win.
Jade has to win. Right.
Yeah, I mean, her stats are impressive. The undefeated streak, pretty much like, you know, the Goldberg effect and stuff. Even to the point where, I mean, I'm not a ratings person, but apparently Jade's match drew the biggest demo numbers on AEW Dynamite last week. So I mean, if we're asking if it's best for business, the data kind of says so.
That's the business. That's the business.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's the business. That when they're on TV, you know, I think it was Tony Khan who must have said maybe at the top of the year or maybe at the end of last year something about AEW having a very good year, and that was due to the network being happy. So at the end of the day, this is what wrestling is. It's the numbers when it comes to the viewers through the network. If Jade Cargill is bigger numbers than who else was on that show? Who else was on
Danielson
that show?
And
Daniel
Page.
Bryan.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Like, that's the world title. That's supposed to be the biggest match of the show. And in terms of numbers, it wasn't. So to ridicule Jade because she's not quite ready in the ring, yeah, there's fact to it, but at the same time, it shouldn't tarnish the decision to make her the champion. As we've said, you know, for months from when the TBS Championship tournament was announced that it was going to happen, we said Jade has to win it. There was no one else there to win it. She was, by that time, you know, won a triple threat match to become #1 contender. The following week, it's like it never happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they knew what they were doing. We were, you know, they were building Jade to become something. Whether it would have ended up being a loss to Britt Baker, there still would have been this massive push, an even bigger push to get her to that match. So AEW knew exactly what they were doing and what they wanted to do. To say Jade isn't ready, I find it quite crazy. The facts are there. That, you know, it's not. I'm not denying the fact that she's not the greatest in the ring, and that match wasn't the greatest. But at the same time, we've seen it 20 million times to where sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't worked in the long run.
Yeah,
where people are made champions too early, or, you know, in terms of experience at least. But at the same time, it ends up working. A lot of the time, we've seen it working. A lot of the time, we've not asked any questions. And I don't know what's different here. I don't know what's different because, like, we've almost, like, even now, almost is like, there's very little that he can, and that's not just because of his size, because he does a lot for the type of structure that, or stature that he is. He can do a lot, but at the same time, there's still a lot that needs to be worked on. Reggie, he's got talent for days, but it's clear in ring wise, he needs more time. But no one's questioning what Reggie's doing. Why is Reggie doing this? Why is Reggie on TV every week? Yeah, okay, as you said, albeit the 24/7 championship, no one really cares.
Yeah.
But at the same time, no one's asking any questions. Everyone's bigging up Reggie because he looks good.
Yeah.
Oh, and he finally got some actual ring gear last week, which I kind of like. It's weird, but I kind of like it. It works.
It's very weird. I hate it.
It's very weird. I love it, but because it's weird. But yeah, like, why do you think this is any different? Like, what's the difference here?
I mean, I'm gonna have to kind of go back to the default answer of it doesn't seem like black women get love in wrestling, really and truly. Like you said, you've even made the comparison to the closest comparison of what it could be, black men, and it's still, no one's really talking about them guys as much as the flack that Jade Cargill, others maybe at her level are getting. There is still obviously some way to go in the ring for Jade Cargill. I maybe not many other people do have this issue, but I have an issue with her presentation, and it's not necessarily her physical look, her presentation. We all have eyes. She's brilliant. She's beautiful. It works.
Yeah.
Like,
of course.
The fact that she feels so highly of herself and all of that kind of stuff, and how she carries herself. I'm still asking the question, what is the need for Mark Sterling? Smart Mark Sterling, her manager, her lawyer, her agent, whatever he is, the Jade brand thing.
Yeah.
I almost feel like Britt Baker, brilliant example. Someone that is not the most, gifted in the ring, just as of yet anyway. She talked her way into everyone's minds, hearts, interests. And this is what they have not done with Jade. They Mark says something about t-shirt sales are up 1,000,000%, and Jade just exclamation, I'm the B, and all that kind of stuff. Like, let Jade, how Jade made her debut. Why have they stopped? Why did they pull back on that? I don't know if they thought it wasn't good or whatever the case is, but put her out there, let her go out there and cut, her own promos, walk out there and say, I am best for business. Business is up on this, I sold this amount of t-shirts. I'm drawing this kind of ratings, this, that, and the other. Like, and then maybe she goes backstage and Mark is just like her kind of stooge, her agent backstage, that it's like, okay, we need to do this. We've got to go to a photo shoot for this magazine and all of this kind of stuff. I feel like if her presentation, she was given more to do outside the ring, it negates half of the stuff we see in the ring. We don't see much of her outside of the ring. So when it's time for her in-ring stuff, we're all eyes. And that's where the criticism starts coming. So yes, they've built her, made her strong and all of that kind of stuff. But right now, or to this point, they haven't built someone well-rounded. I think one thing that WWE do very good with athletes they bring in, or just wrestlers in general, what are you good at? We will make the whole world know you are brilliant at this. And we will hide everything else as much as we can. Even if it takes us doing 1 million camera cuts during the match, we will hide everything else you're not good at. And I just feel like maybe just that little tweak in presentation to Jade, since she is, who she says she is, that could probably, get more people on side with her, just like it basically worked for Britt Baker.
It's a crazy one, because it's like, as you said, the presentation of Jade, as much as it's clear AEW are trying to push her and they believe in her and all that kind of thing, yet their presentation just has been incorrect almost every single time. It's almost like even when she was about to debut partnering with Shaq, and Jade is a former basketball player, college basketball, quite successful in her time as well, and all the rest of it. But then when they had whatever training, it's like, yes, Shaq is the NBA legend, but at the same time, it's like, what was that for? We didn't show anything about it actually being Jade is also a basketball player or as well. And as you mentioned about WWE kind of doing this thing where they make sure we know that so-and-so is good at this and so-and-so is good at that and da-da-da-da-da. Perfect example, and the most comparable person to Jade in the whole world, we hear it all the time, see it all the time, is Bianca Belair. The amount of times, I don't need to see it anymore. The amount of times we've seen the story of her going from track and field to CrossFit to EST. We get the same vignette almost every single time Bianca Belair's on the show, which works, but then can be a bit of an overload. But at the same time, you're then getting Jade, who is just standing there next to this weedy white guy who hasn't. If he was good on the mic, if it was like if he was a white version of Malcolm Bivens, for example, I don't think we'd be complaining too much.
Yeah.
But what he does doesn't help Jade. Jade could do all of that on her own. She could just continue to just do her and whatever it is without him being there, and it would work. So yeah, the presentation just is off. Luckily, it's clear that we know AEW believe in her, but at the same time, they just need to tweak a little few things here and there to give it that, right, this is certain, she is that B. And I really don't want to carry on using that, but it's going to happen. So I just got to get over it. And continue to do what she's doing. But, you know, it's interesting. It's interesting to see what's happening. But the other rhetoric that I've disliked, that I've seen on Twitter and social media in general, I've seen people even accusing Jade of not working hard. I'm like, do you not see what she looks like shows you that she works hard?
Yeah.
That isn't, you get to that point and then sit back and that all of that's maintained. She works hard. She puts in the work. She does what she needs to do. All while being a mother as well. Not the easiest job in the world, even when you're not a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
So to add that to the mix, to then have to, you know, maintain herself, to then learn her craft as she's doing it, to be in the spotlight while she's learning, where everyone else has the safety of doing it in the Nightmare Factory or in the Performance Center or on the indie scene maybe, or whatever it is. She had none of that. So for her to be in the position that she is, for me, it's remarkable that she's where she's at and she's doing what she's doing. However much there are certain things that need adjusting and need improving, I don't think there's a need for this. She's not ready, or why is she here? And nah, it's crazy.
NK says here, this is kind of the issue of developing someone green debut on TV. Should they have kept her off TV for a while until she was ready? Now, I understand that. However, I think two things come into play here. She was debuted during the pandemic era where there was no fans. So maybe they thought, or minimal fans, they thought we can probably get away with this here. Fast track her development. Give her the rub in the story they brought her in, you know, with Shaquille O'Neal and stuff. But also it's the school of thought, well, if she has made it to TV as early as this, she's obviously passed the test. She's obviously clocked the exam. She's done what it needs to take to get past just training in a Nightmare Factory and to get on TV. They think she's ready. Now, it will be demoralizing if they see her maybe have a first match, she doesn't go to plan, and then it's like, okay, Jade, go back to class. You see what I mean? So it's like, okay, whether they now at this point believe in her or not, which I still believe they do, they just have to continue with the experiment rather than, you know, putting the fishing hook on her and pulling her back in. I just feel like it's one of those ones. It's a sink or swim situation, right? And if you're in the same position and you're given your chance, you know, pull you backstage, Jade, we're thinking about debuting you on TV in 2 weeks. Who says, oh no, I'm not ready?
No, I'm not ready.
we're thinking of debuting you in the hottest angle we have this month: Shaquille O'Neal, Cody, and Brandy Rhodes, and you bottle it. No chance. You take the opportunity. I think maybe as to what NK's comment is, it's just outside of that, maybe just more reps, which again I don't doubt she's doing. I think on Big Swole done I think it's on her podcast. I heard on over the weekend, I think it was. She was saying that the likes of Jade, she said Jade was always going to win this championship, and she said Jade is the first to train in and the last to leave. Right, pretty much the stuff we hear about Cristiano Ronaldo and all of them, man. Right. She said Jade is the first to train in and the last to leave. The girl wants to learn. That's what Big Swole said. When the rest of them are coming in whenever they come in. So she obviously, you know, there's still nerves, and you know, she is what a 1 year vet, if you want to say that.
Not
Like,
even a year. Not even a year.
well, this is it. So I mean, I think we just all have to be a bit patient. But like I said, I hate to go back to the demo and all of that kind of stuff. But if we're talking about business, the data says her segment, her match was the draw of that entire Dynamite show. And if data makes business decisions, we have to leave it there.
We ain't losing Jade. We ain't losing Jade anytime soon if that is the figures. You know, it's just crazy. I mean, obviously we continually have the debate of, you know, representation in AEW when it comes to black wrestlers, female wrestlers as well. And the usual response, the daily response is, but who's ready? But who's ready? But who's ready?
Yeah.
They're pushing someone at us. And I don't feel it's in the negative sense of, you know, when we kind of started to turn on like John Cena or Roman Reigns or Charlotte Flair, where we felt like it was just way too much. I think for me, this is almost like the way it should be. So when I'm here talking about the likes of Ricky Starks not getting a push or certain other people's pushes not being consistent enough or lasting long enough, there's Jade. Jade's there.
Yeah.
I, for one, it's not, you know, it doesn't then solve every problem of representation in AEW, but at the same time, for me, this one ticks the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one ticks the box, and I have no real reason to then be like, well, why did you put her as champion? She's not ready. Why so and so? She's not ready. Like, what do we want here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because here's the craziest thing is the I guess probably the upsetting thing is the negative that we're seeing are from our own people.
More time, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just the racist white man in the corner or whatever it is. I'm seeing others of our same skin color and other females, males, black, whatever. They're saying it too. So I'm like, okay, right. What do you want?
Bro, we know how it goes. They want you to do well. They don't want you to do better than them. She's done this. It's been good, like you said. It ticks the box. It's been organic, which is the key word. You know, this isn't just a token gesture sort of thing. And she's not world champion, so everyone calm down. She is the mid-card champion, the TBS champion.
This is true.
So yeah, relax. And let me just say, I even love the fact TBS, I don't know if it's still the case, but their bio was Jade Cargill is our champion. Their bio on Twitter.
Wow.
Which I love. Now, we spoke about Jade developing a character from here on out. I hope she comes out Dynamite, cuts her own promo. I don't know who should come out. I think NK said someone like Chris Statlander as a first opposition. I think that's a good choice. Right. Someone physically her size and things like that. And she can battle Chris Statlander, someone again and more experienced than her. But yeah, everyone just calm down. We haven't put the strap on a new complete newbie. This is just a secondary thing.
Yeah.
She's still gonna learn, and then we'll see how it goes.
I as we've said from day one, we've said it again today, is she was perfect for that position. It's like the right way to work the experiment, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You've got this woman that, yes, she's still fresh, not experienced, but you know you want her to be like the biggest star in your company. So instead of giving her the biggest, let's give her the mid. If it doesn't work out,
test it. Yeah,
it's fine. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We regroup. We start again. She starts again, maybe at the bottom of the back of the line, and works back up again. No one ain't really making a fuss. If she beat Britt Baker, okay, we'd be arguing.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'd be arguing. We'd have a problem here. And even I would probably be saying, right, all right, that's maybe a bit too far. But this is the TBS.
Yeah.
They're making it a big thing because it's the new network at the end of the day.
Exactly.
But at the same time, when it comes down to it, it's probably, you know, the lowest of all the championships in AEW right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
It might actually be. You know what I mean? So if that be the case,
wait. It's not lower than the FTW title.
It's not. That's not even a championship. But anyway, but yeah, that's where we're at. To move the conversation along a little bit, but we're still kind of sticking to the same thing. We're talking a lot this episode about our black females in the current scene of pro wrestling. We also saw more history made on Saturday, I believe it was. Impact Hard to Kill. They had their first ever knockouts Ultimate X match. 6 women. The craziest structure in wrestling is the Ultimate X. A rope with an X in the middle of the ring, at the top of the ring. Just crazy. And Tasha Steele came away with the X, with the victory, and is now in line for a chance at the Knockouts Championship. Now, what was crazy for me, and I've put this on my socials, what was crazy for me is I'm running some promo for Fighting Evolution Wrestling that are based in Florida. They've got a big show happening in February called Say It Loud. Mm-hmm. Tasha Steele is one of the wrestlers that's going to be on the show. So I've been, posting about some of these guys and doing their profiles and whatever else. And I decided on Saturday, there was no real reason. I just decided on Saturday to post about Tasha Steele's the full whack, her bio, where she's come from, where she started, how she got to where she got to, the other records that she's broken. As like we know that she won the Knockouts Tag Team Championships with Kiera Hogan.
Yeah.
And within hours, she goes and makes history again. I'm like, girl, couldn't you just tell me? And then make me post a few hours later. But I guess for me, that just added to the elation, and just seeing someone like Tasha Steele getting such a big victory, a historic victory. We've said it enough times on this show that we are fans of her in the ring and what she's about, and simply what she's done in Impact alone. Yeah. Did you watch the show itself? Did you see the match? How did you see Tasha's win?
I watched highlights of the pay-per-view. Let me just come to this comment. SCW Steve, big up Steve every time. He says, how you both gents? Hope you're keeping well. Tasha Steele has been on a roll since coming to Impact. Pleased to see her get the win at Hard to Kill, getting the W. I know Steve loves a cheeky bit of Impact. Tasha Steele's, I predominantly will watch an Impact from yourself. You told me, now watch it. There's some good talent there. And Tasha Steele and Kiera Hogan, and Tasha Steele has done the tag team thing. She's clocked the game. She's done it. I think she's a 3-time Knockouts tag team champion. This is her now putting her hat in for the actual Knockouts Women's Championship. And because this was the first the Knockouts Ultimate X match, they need to complete the story, and she needs to go
real talk.
She needs to now ascend to the throne right at top. Mickie James obviously defended her title against Deonna Purrazzo. Whenever they get around to it, Mickie James needs to do the honors and put someone new, in the headlights, basically. I think Tasha Steele is brilliant. I do think since Kiera Hogan left Impact, she lost her way a bit. Okay. But this is her kind of coming back to prominence. I can't lie, I was worried when I saw Chelsea Green very close to that X. I thought you lot could do it, because I know Chelsea Green and Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona are doing bits right now. They're doing absolute bits. But I just feel like Tasha Steele is fully ready. She needs it to ascend. I don't think Chelsea Green quite needs it. Sort of thing.
Okay.
So I'm very happy, and I'm going to tune in to when the actual match with her and Mickie James happens.
What's interesting, you mentioned Mickie James doing the job for Tasha Steele. For anyone that kind of follows as much wrestling as possible, as I try to do, even in NWA, Mickie James has been there as well, and had a bit of a rivalry and feud. And I think they had about maybe 2 or 3 matches with Kiera Hogan. Kiera Hogan, of course, being used to be Tasha Steele's tag team partner, which is interesting. Mickey James is Kiera Hogan's hero, like literally real life, and they went with that in the story on NWA as well. So it's interesting to kind of make that connection as well with Tasha Steele's then coming for Mickey James as well. As you said, Tasha Steele has done the tag team thing. I believe it's two-time Knockouts champion, tag team champion with Kiera Hogan. They were the first in about 8 years when they won it last year, at the start of last year. But it's crazy because at the same time, before their pairing happened, Tasha Steele's kind of was on a bit of a winning streak in singles competition. I think she lost her first match, but then after that, she was winning. Defeated Rosemary, defeated Susie, both former Knockouts champions. So that was kind of getting people talking as well.
I was like the top of last year.
Yeah. Then she paired with Kiera Hogan, and of course we know what happened there. So it is actually crazy to see that when Kiera Hogan was gone, Tasha Steele's kind of lost her way, but she's got Savannah Evans behind her, bro.
Yeah. Tank.
If we talk about Jade Cargill, Savannah Evans is not far off. Just as tall, just as powerful. So to have Tasha Steele's with Savannah Evans, to me, it's very much Shawn Michaels Diesel-esque type of thing. And it works so well. And even if we were to end the story with Tasha Steele's picking up the belt from Mickey James, even if it meant that Savannah Evans gets involved and that's how she wins it, I wouldn't be arguing.
Yeah,
it's the heel thing to do. It makes sense. If that's how we get the belt on her, I'm here for it. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Tasha Steele over the next few months, how they make it happen, whether it's going to be straight away. Who knows? So yeah, it's great to see Savannah Evans and even that show in general. Just kind of do a quick roundup of that show. We saw Jonathan Gresham defending his ROH championship.
Yep.
Crazy match against Chris Sabin. And then there was this whole ROH invasion at one point as well. So it's going to be interesting. We'll probably talk about this like next week about the whole relationship between ROH and Impact at the moment. But to keep the conversation going and keeping it on our black females, the other person who has made history, I guess it's not history in the sense of like a one-time thing, but at the same time, it's a milestone for Naomi. Naomi now has clocked 10 years since her main roster debut, at least, on Raw. I think it was January 9th, 10 years ago. She came out with Brodus Clay and as the Funkadactyls and did their little thing there. But then, of course, we've seen, her excel to the SmackDown Women's Championship. But of course, for me, this is the bit that I want to talk about a bit more, though. The current situation, or not even just the current, but since she last lost her SmackDown Women's Championship, what is going on with WWE and Naomi? I don't get it. I don't understand. We get a 1 week of flurry of like, this is going to go well. And then boom, we get some madness and some foolishness. And we still got this whole Sonya Deville thing going on. And I don't get it. Shed some light on it for me, please, because you're the all-knowing, all-seeing. I'm just the guy that gets upset when something goes wrong.
I mean, let me go back to giving Naomi her flowers. 10 years in that place, in that penitentiary.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, but
not easy.
If I drill down the numbers and I look at all of that kind of stuff, Naomi has been terribly underutilized. In 10 years, Naomi has won 3 titles. And do I count the FCW Women's Championship? Can I count that? Like,
oh Lord.
She's won 2 SmackDown Women's Championships. Fair enough. And without trying to be, a complete, about it, without taking a nick, I'm not even sure if that WrestleMania, those years where she won those 2 SmackDown championships, it was kind of back to back and she got injured in between. If WrestleMania wasn't in Orlando, would she have won it?
I doubt it very much.
I don't know. Orlando is her hometown. So I don't understand how Naomi in a Divas era didn't hold that butterfly belt. Like how? How didn't she? And I'm not putting the butterfly belt on anybody, but at least she should have been at 10 years in the game. She should have been like a 5-time women's champion or something. Come on, like
this is true.
It's so poor. Like I just see NK here says she's had a good career. However, it's a career that had way more potential that hasn't been capitalized on. This is exactly it. Like especially like I say, we know women's wrestling got a lot better out of the Divas era and stuff like that. 2017-18 was very strong. But in Divas era, she should have ran up her numbers then. Like the likes of Maurice, Beth Phoenix, and all these other people, like they had championships and stuff. Yeah, bruv. Like I really don't understand it. Steve says here, I think the story is that they know that we are behind Naomi and they've dropped the ball. This story is designed to get her back on track, but no excuses for the past 10 years and what they could have been. I hope she gets a big moment and push when Sonya's story is finished. Again,
here's my problem though. This story has gone on for way too long.
The story
when it first started, I was like, right, we're gonna get something out of this. We're gonna get something. But then as it carried on, I'm like, nah, this is for Sonya, not for Naomi.
Probably
this one's for Sonya, and I still believe that's the case. And as much as she's the face in the whole thing, and usually the faces come out on top and all the rest of it, but I think it's more to build Sonya as a heel than it is to give us Naomi. And the saddest part of the last maybe 5 years of Naomi's career is that WWE knows that we want more Naomi. The glow, the belt. Why did they not sell that as merch? I'm not even going to start. That was an absolute madness. But they sold that wooden Daniel Bryan belt. I don't get it. It just makes no sense. And then she returned at that Royal Rumble, the big afro. We had everyone, wrestlers, non-wrestlers, journalists here, there, and everywhere, talking about this powerful black woman with her big afro making a return and getting this big response that she got. Within weeks, she's doing karaoke with my woman. I don't even
Lacey Evans and them.
Lacey Evans and that on. I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? She's had she's had a fair bit of issues outside of the ring, and she's very private, so we don't know exactly what those issues have been. We know it's something to do with family stuff and injuries and maybe some mental health issues stuff and whatever else, and that's cool. Everyone needs to take their time off. But at the same time, we're coming back. We get no Naomi for the Hurt Business. We were calling for that for almost a year. Nothing like that at all. You got a perfect segue to get her from Raw to SmackDown and in with the Bloodline. We're still waiting for that to happen. That's not happening at all. What is going on when you can make this thing so easy?
You know what it is? It's exactly what Steve has said. What we read his comment earlier. They know we are behind Naomi.
Right.
And they think that's enough. Right. Like, that is enough. When they see Naomi, they're going to pop. They're going to love her. They already love her. We don't need to do anything with her.
Right.
That is the issue. They had a whole day one pay-per-view, which should have been, in the name itself, culmination of feuds, finish things off. Sonya and Naomi should have been a singles match on that card.
Right.
And, if Naomi won, if Naomi was to win, they build her up slowly over SmackDown the next few weeks. All of a sudden, we're all saying that, they've been building up Naomi, maybe she could win the Women's Rumble.
Royal Rumble. Right.
She may not even be considered, but they've just put another person in the hat, at least for fans. You see what I mean? I don't know why this Sonya thing. I'm seeing Steve's put a comment here. I'm predicting Naomi will enter number one in the Rumble and be the journey person in the match, but Sonya will be the reason she doesn't win. This needs to end. I don't even need this to get this far. As good as a booking this is, we just need to end it. And I don't know, maybe on SmackDown they do something like Naomi wrestles Sonya for the number 30 spot in the Women's Rumble, or like make it make sense. And then Naomi wins, enters number 30, still loses. I don't know, but just end the Sonya stuff, because to be honest, I was enjoying it at first, but now it's just dragging on too long with no direction, and it's just losing interest.
And the craziest thing is every single week, the commentators always say, we don't know why Sonya has a problem with Naomi.
No one does.
So why are we still doing it? So why are we still doing it? Give us
No
the
one
reason
knows.
at least.
No one knows, man.
But yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And I know you said a lot earlier about her in the Divas division, or in the Divas era even. But her and Natalia probably the only two that have been in both eras that could have easily been on top in both eras.
Yeah.
Easily. No, there's no reason why Naomi couldn't have been up there with the likes of Sasha Banks and Charlotte during their time. No reason, even if it was in a transitional way, because that didn't happen. She was just kind of watching them as they skyrocketed, and she was watching them from down here.
Yeah.
Even as a transitional, that didn't happen either. I'm just like, I don't understand. I don't know what it is, and I find it. I actually find it quite disrespectful, if I'm honest.
It is.
I think it's heavily disrespectful to Naomi, not just because she's been there for 10 years, but even just down to her ability, her being a fan favorite, all of that stuff. And transcend, we're here talking about, seeing Sasha Banks in movies and going to certain concerts, and Montez Ford and Bianca Belair doing the same thing. Naomi could have been doing all of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very easily, but yet we're still kind of twiddling our thumbs, wondering why she's dealing with Sonya Deville and Shayna Baszler every week.
Yeah,
it's just
out of obviously the Divas era happened, and out of the Divas era was pretty much the emergence of the 4 horsewomen. Even she was involved with the Team Bad stuff with Sasha and Tamina, and then they all went their own way. And just even around the period where they did put the belt on her, I think it was maybe 2017-ish or somewhere like that. Just okay, like you made her a 2-time champion, but like I think one time she was stripped of the belt the first time because of injury, and then I think she won it back at WrestleMania. Like that's your opportunity to now build someone and keep them in and around the scene. If I'm correct, and I might get this the wrong way around, but Alexa Bliss is like a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion and a 3-time Raw Women's Champion. In how many years?
In probably the 5 years that Naomi's kind of done almost nothing.
Yeah. Like I don't understand. Now, Alexa Bliss is good. I'm a fan of Alexa Bliss,
of course.
But if you can quickly, stat pad someone that quickly, like, then you've had 10 years to do it with Naomi when her peers were worse than what they are now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, Naomi's good anyway. She seems to be in a good place in the company. They do care about her. She is on TV. So maybe that's why maybe she's comfortable. She's not, pushing the envelope and asking for more sort of thing. Her husband's on TV. Husband's a key fixture of his division and stuff like that. Life is good. Bills are paid. 10 years in the game. If she hasn't made her noise by now, she probably never will, innit? So it is what it is. But congratulations to her.
Yeah.
We as fans, I guess, would have just always wanted to see more.
Of course. And I really, unfortunately, don't see more happening. I don't see how it's going to happen. I'll be very surprised if it happens. Not to say that it shouldn't or can't, but I just don't see. There's now nothing to kind of give me that feeling of right. This is going to happen. It's sad to know that that's where we're at, man. And I just don't get it.
I think in the future there could be a tag team championship run in her future with maybe her and Bianca. I think that could be quite fun. But yeah, that as a ceiling, I think that's probably about it. The tag team titles.
And that's the other thing that they failed to kind of give us in its full fruition as well. With when she teamed with Sasha Banks, and everyone was like, "Oh, is this going to be a Team Bad reunion?" And that would have made sense even during that whole Sonya Deville madness. Sasha Banks comes in to help her out, and then they form an alliance, and then they get rid of Sonya Deville. I'm gonna apply. I'm gonna apply to be a WWE writer soon enough. But,
you
for
still
now,
won't be heard. Don't worry about it.
I'm sure I won't. I'm sure I won't. Bruce Pritchard is in charge, so forget it. Let's
That's exactly it.
I mean, here's the thing. So to kind of conclude this little segment of talking about our black women, it's crazy to see the complexity of the complexion of black women in wrestling right now. You've got your Bianca Belair, who's doing absolutely amazing right now, even outside of being a number one contender or even being a champion. She's still right in there with everyone. I think it was actually a bit of a masterstroke that both her and Liv Morgan didn't get that number one contender thing on Raw.
Yeah. Becky pulling Bianca out the ring is world class. That confirmed to me that is the WrestleMania match.
Right.
It's confirmed.
Right. It gives me hope now as well that there's more of a chance of Bianca Belair winning the Royal Rumble for a second time. Whether it happens or not, I'm not really too fussed. If it does, it would be phenomenal for her to do it 2 years in a row. So we've got the likes of Bianca Belair. We've got obviously Jade kind of being, catapulted to the star that we know that AEW wants her to be. You've got Sasha Steele, who is doing great stuff. But then unfortunately, you've got this whole thing with Naomi. Unfortunately, we still have this, this debacle that we had, the last couple of weeks with Big Swole. And in general, we've still kind of got this whole, I guess, unfinished business with black women in wrestling. There's a lot more, and they're looking amazing. I showed you that article earlier today. I think it was on a website called The Root. I forget who the writer was, but they were talking
Stephanie Holland, I think her name is.
Thanks for that. And she was talking about, how many black women there are in wrestling and all different shapes and sizes and all doing great things and different things. And that's amazing. But we still have so many things that need to be fixed. And to where we feel as though there's an equality when it comes to black women compared to either their white counterparts and even their Japanese counterparts. So Japanese wrestling is a completely different thing in its own. It's a completely different. It's just its own entity, but at the same time, it would be nice for our women to kind of be very similar in terms of the amount that there are or the way that they're looked and and seen in the industry in general. But in time, I believe it's happening. As I said, there's so many black women now. That in itself is a major thing, a major thing. And I'm excited to see what happens with our ladies. Going back to our men, and the guy who is at the top of the men's mountain when it comes to black wrestling. No, not Jonathan Gresham, although you can argue that case right now, but the man that is the almighty Bobby Lashley finally had his face-to-face encounter with the beast, Brock Lesnar. And when I say that was absolute TV gold.
Loved it.
But because of Brock Lesnar. But it was amazing.
I loved it.
Absolutely amazing. I think it was Gerard that said it last week on our show. We kind of, quietly talked about this. Obviously, we knew that Bobby Lashley is the number one contender for Brock Lesnar's championship, but we never saw any encounter. But Gerard said, I'm excited for this Bobby Lashley against this Brock Lesnar. I'm now right there with him because to know that you've got Bobby Lashley, who is, undeniable right now, built up in the best way possible, I guess, as, in WWE. And then you've got Brock Lesnar, who somehow in the last 2 months has learned how to speak on the mic. And I'm just like, nah, it was just everything everything Brock Lesnar was saying was just, and Lashley reacted right and correct. And he didn't need to come back with anything, quick off the mark or anything like that either to do what he needed to do in that segment. But I can't say it enough. That segment was just masterful. Great. It was just great. It was great. Give me your take on it and the match coming up.
Steve says here in the chat, I can't wait for a mic off between MVP and Paul Heyman. Now, these 4 guys all entered the ring, and I thought, that was it. We're gonna
Yeah,
get it.
that's what
And
we're
the
gonna get.
fact that MVP and Paul Heyman could just stand back
Right in the
and
corner, not behind, not shoulder to shoulder,
Mhm.
right in the corner.
and their men
Wow.
could take control of
Mm,
this entire segment.
mm,
Bobby Lashley, obviously, with the whole you're ducking me stuff. And I saw he put something on, I think you shared it on your Instagram of him on an interview or something saying that, I came to WWE, Brock left
he left.
and all that, and that I came
left. He
back, he
came
left.
back.
Yeah, all of that. I
All of that.
loved all of that. And he kind of done a shorter version of that in the ring on the night. And Brock Lesnar with the whole, I don't know who you are. As if this man wasn't WWE champion last year. Like he just said, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are. He said Bobby who, he told a knock joke, which I thought was just dad humor at its finest of Bobby who.
Best.
Exactly. And the crowd
best, bro.
ate it up. And yeah, if you wasn't looking forward to this match already, like these guys have they've turned it on definitely. And I think something was mentioned last week on the show about I think you mentioned Gable Steveson is someone that could possibly get involved. Shelton Benjamin is someone that can get involved, and obviously we saw Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander try to rekindle the Hurt Business. Bobby Lashley laid them to waste. Very, very interesting to see if
that ended that confusion.
Yeah, but obviously Shelton is still friends with Lesnar. So there could maybe be something there. But to be honest, I don't think this story needs to be too convoluted and all of that kind of stuff. This is money. This is absolute money. Is this gonna main event? Is the Royal Rumble itself gonna go on last? I think as we get closer to the show, this may be something they really need to consider depending on the trajectory of the story. But yeah, this is so far probably more than what we ever thought we were going to get between these guys.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've as we all know, as you know, I've always been waiting for this Bobby versus Brock, Lesnar versus Lashley for the longest time. But even in that, the fear always was, but these two guys can't talk for themselves. These two guys don't really have their own characters necessarily. So how would the build-up actually work? How are they actually gonna make this happen? And for us to really be invested, apart from it being, as Biggie would say, two meaty men slapping meat. Apart from it being that, what else would it be? But now I'm seeing the answer to my questions. I'm seeing that massively, and it's almost like I'm glad now that it's taken Bobby Lashley 12 years, and the stupid stuff that he's done before with the sisters story with Sami Zayn and the stuff with Leo Rush when it started going a bit weird, and then him losing to him getting that opportunity to face Lesnar, but then losing it 2 weeks later to Roman Reigns. All this stuff that we're losing out. But now we've got this Lesnar, year strong, one of the best, if not the best booked wrestler other than Roman Reigns. In the last 12 months by far. So to now have that Lashley against this Lesnar, who somehow, like I said, has found his way on a mic, has some kind of character to him on his own. He doesn't even need
but bro,
there.
Can I just say,
Go.
I was, as a child, I was a massive fan of like 2002, 2003 Lesnar. Like him and his whole series with Kurt Angle, how they were just all pally and jokey, but he was still fierce. When he came back as a UFC guy, and obviously he had Paul Heyman doing all of his talking and that, I said, I like this because it's very much, I'm just sending my hitter to go and handle business sort of thing. Like, he never said a word or anything. But I did always say, people are going to forget how good Lesnar is through this, Paul Heyman being the advocate and stuff. People are going to forget that Lesnar is a prime sports entertainer. And I'm just absolutely loving this run for this sheer reason that he's evolved his character. He's just this scary hench guy that lives in a forest in Canada that kills moose and eats them. And now he's back in the WWE. part of his gimmick is he doesn't know anybody. I don't know who Bobby Lashley is. I don't know who Sami Zayn is. He only knows
Right.
Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
Like,
that's it. Literally.
he's just smashing it. Like, he's elevated this, and you know, all the regular stuff of Paul Heyman having to sell the match hasn't even come into play yet.
Has not even happened. We're still, as Steve said, as you said, we're still waiting for this MVP versus Paul Heyman on the mic.
That's gonna be great.
That's gonna be phenomenal. That's gonna be phenomenal. I'm just very, very interested to see how it works out, and just how the match plays out. I mean, you know, for me as well, when Lashley first got that number one contendership, and I think Brock was asked backstage, you know, what's next to the, and the first thing he said, he didn't even mentioned Bobby Lashley. He said Roman Reigns. He said, I'm going to SmackDown, I'm going to find Roman Reigns. So I was like, hold on. Are you docking this guy already when you can clearly see that he's like the number one contender? Like, what? So then I thought that's what we're going to get in the ring, to then get the opposite, where, yeah, you acknowledged that they haven't fought each other and blah, blah, but he had a response. I didn't even fathom or even think of that response. When I heard it, I was like, oh, snap. I went away and won championships. What did you do? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
He got him. He got him.
It was, yeah. In a crazy way, it now actually gives me, more hope that Bobby's going to come away as the winner.
Yeah, I think so.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm glad we're in this place where it's not predictable. And that's all I ever want when it comes to wrestling in general. I don't want it to be predictable. And this is perfect for them. And what this match is gonna give us. We've got another 2 weeks until the Rumble.
Something like that, yeah.
Let's see how this plays out. Let's see who gets involved, who doesn't get involved, who talks, who says what, who does what. At the end of the day, you've got Lashley, who has overpowered Brock Lesnar in a match. We've clearly seen that. Now we've got Lesnar, who's probably, you know, made it one each between the two of them at the moment with that whole thing on the mic last night. So, oh man, I'm excited. I'm actually excited.
It's gonna be good. I think the only negative, which you can expect, because it's WWE, is that when the match happens, as a lot of people are predicting, there will be some shenanigans. Maybe the bloodline will aid Lashley if he is to win. That is the only thing that could possibly or may possibly take something away from this from some people. Lashley probably, if he is to win, won't win clean. I personally don't mind, because just this match alone, like, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah. Like,
but yeah,
it's crazy. I could be, like I said, a big part of me is quite hopeful that Lashley can win this, and I think with this whole Lesnar still focused on Roman Reigns, whether that has actually, you know, plays into their match at all, I don't know. But at the same time, what it shows me is that that's what WWE's focus is as well, and we always know that's been the case. So maybe just, you know, Lesnar winning the WWE Championship was just so we can get the match, Lashley can win and become a 2-time champion, go on, you know, whether it be at WrestleMania to, you know, as the WWE champion again, while Brock Lesnar goes and does what he actually was here for, to face Roman Reigns. So the possibilities are endless, and we don't know where it's going to go, and that's the best part about it. That literally is the best part about it. We have 2 minutes left of the show. We haven't done this in weeks. I don't know if there's any point, because almost like I feel like there's so many people we can choose right now. But your star of the week, tell me who that is. I'm sure it's probably someone we already mentioned in the show today, but let's see who we have.
Well, I'll tell you who it's not. Big E. Anyway, we'll move
on.
You did say it could be someone that's mentioned in the show. I should give it to Jade, but you know, we've given Jade her flowers, so I'll go a bit further afield. I'm gonna give it to Carmelo Hayes. Last Tuesday we saw him, unify the Cruiserweight Championship and the
Mm-hmm.
North American Championship. I'm waiting for the Bossy entrance or whatever we're going to get on NXT tonight. The bragging Trick Williams, you know, making up all the noise. Absolutely have from Bout It, I've come to absolutely love these two together. Trick Williams is doing bits on the outside with the facial expressions, the calls, everything. I think Steve mentioned earlier somewhere in the chat, name a breakout star that no one's really talking about. I mean, we see Carmelo Hayes, what he's doing. I think this guy, they know they've got something here. And as long as Shawn Michaels is in his corner batting for him, this guy can go places. So yeah, that's
just as long as Shawn Michaels isn't the next person to get released.
Of course, yeah.
Oh my word, all these releases out of nowhere. Oh man, worse than an RKO. For me, actually, you know what? I'll take it away from those who you've mentioned as well. I did mention him very, very quickly today. Jonathan Gresham. He has, of course, he debuted on Impact at Hard to Kill. Defended his championship. It's actually the third time he's defended that championship already. The other thing that's great to mention for Jonathan Gresham is that his show Terminus officially sold out yesterday. That card is looking fantastic. I love how it's a combination of stars we know and upcoming guys and girls. It's so good. It's so good. I'm already excited for the next show. And this show hasn't even happened. I'm already excited for the next one. So Jonathan Gresham, and as well, I need to start saving some pennies because Jonathan Gresham's coming to London in February.
Is it London? Is it going to Manchester?
Manchester, even Manchester.
Yeah.
Progress Wrestling, Manchester. So I need to start saving some coins, mate, and try and see that one as well. So yeah, Jonathan Gresham for me is the star of the week. With that said, folks, we honor you for being here. And this is the end of our show. Of course, as always, you can follow this guy here, Mex the WrestleManiac, on Instagram, WrestleManiac.uk, and on Twitter, WrestleManiac UK. You can follow me, A Dazzle, Black Wrestling Alliance on Instagram, and Black Wrestling A on Twitter, where I talk about stuff because I can. Folks, this has been WrstlXtra. Catch us here again next week, Tuesday, or you can watch it anytime you want on the WrestleManiac UK YouTube channel. Folks, that's the end of it. See you later.